Hey guys, it's Kevin. I was listening to Dave Ramsey today on his Entree Leadership Summit on the Facebook Live, and he said something that really encouraged me. He said, success is not a gleaming, shining mountain. It's a pile of failures, and I'm a colossal failure, only, I'm standing on top of my failures, not underneath them. And like I said, I just found that really encouraging. We all make mistakes. We all have our failures. But we can stand on top of them. And so while you're growing your business, you're going to make some mistakes, but it would be nice if we could avoid some of those. And so there are 3 mistakes that we really try to help our clients avoid when they're building their business online. Number 1, the first mistake that we want to try to avoid is executing goals before we have a solid vision. And the reason for that is if we're just executing some goals without a solid vision, those goals are then random and we're going to get random results. So the idea is that for your vision, you want to keep that out in front of you and you want your goals to lead up to that vision so you can achieve that specific bigger picture vision. And the way you do that when you line up those stones along the way is you're creating this map, or you're creating a plan. What we like to call it at Robojuice is you're creating this digital plan to help you get toward your vision of growing your business. So that's really the principle. We need a start and a finish line. We don't need to just be jumping around randomly. We're going to end up in a race to nowhere. So that's the one mistake that we really want to try to avoid. So in practical terms, what that looks like is, our bigger vision for maybe e-commerce is we want to grow our site. We want to get more customers and become known in a specific space that we're marketing to. And a small goal along the way might be to say, hey, how can I make my checkout process as fast as possible so that way, people aren't dropping out of the shopping cart experience once they're ready to make that checkout and purchase. Or if we have a manufacturer and the manufacturer has a site where people want to look at the information about their specific products before they go with a dealer or a retailer to decide on using their specific product. What do those product pages look like? How specific do we need to be with the information on them? What is the goal for when a customer comes to our site? And so we want to have our clear goals of what we want to achieve, but ultimately leading up to our ultimate goal as a business. Mistake number 2. And mistake number 2 is basically going after attention, trying to get a bunch of people to come to a specific location, maybe funneling them toward a specific web page or a Facebook post or whatever that is, before we've really thought about how we're going to convert that. What is that going to turn into for us? Is it merely the sake of getting the attention that we need, or do we need to convert those to customers that are paying? And so there's 3 tips that I have as far as getting to that conversion. Again, you want to go for your conversion, make sure that works right before you go for that larger chunk of attention from different people. The first thing to do is try to be clear. You need to ask yourself, is what I'm presenting to the person understandable? Does it make sense? And is it clear? If we confuse people about what we're offering, we're not really going to get anywhere. The second tip is to just be authentic. This is more of a long-term play, but if you're not authentic, people are going to notice eventually and kind of tune you out. And what that looks like is, if you're trying to be charismatic and exciting and you're just not, people are going to notice that. Or, if you're saying you're the best product ever and then, your quality just isn't there. We have to be authentic as to what we are. The third tip that I have, let's see. Oh, very important one. It's to have a really solid call to action. And you only need one of these. The purpose for that is you need to be very concise and focused about what you're trying to do. If you have 4 or 5 different calls to action, you can induce what's called choice paralysis, where you just have too many choices and you can't make a decision. So we really want to help people funnel and focus in on one specific task. So those are kind of 3 tips to help you focus on conversion first before you go for that big blob of attention from people. Okay, so mistake number 3. What is mistake number 3? Mistake number 3 is focusing on your weaknesses instead of your strengths. And what I mean by that is, we all have limited time and resources. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense to spread our time and resources out over our weaknesses because we have a lot of those. But if we spend our time and resources on the few things that we have, like our strengths, and if you're really blessed, you might have, quite a few of those, but a lot of people might only have 2 or 3 of those strengths. And so putting our focus on our weaknesses isn't really the right play. We need to be focused on our strengths. And that's especially true in the online world. When we talk about strengths in the online world, we're not saying, are you good at Facebook marketing or websites or newsletters? That's not what we mean. Well, because those are really just tools, right? What we mean by your strengths are, are you a good communicator, maybe in just speaking to people? Can you tell stories really well? Are you just good with numbers? Or, are you just good at building the product? By focusing on what you're best at in the digital space, that's going to make all the difference in avoiding failure. And so, we really just need to team up with the right people to help us fill in the gaps where our weaknesses are, and not so much focus on those really as we need to focus on our strengths. So those are the 3 mistakes that you can attack and maybe hopefully avoid some of those as you're walking through growing your business online.